I I don't need anybody. I'm totally fine on my own. Does that at all sound familiar? That was the lie I told myself for years. I had convinced myself that shutting people out was the safest option, that if I didn't let anyone in, they couldn't hurt me. I built walls so high, so thick, that even I started believing I was untouchable, unaffected, and totally in control. But in reality, I wasn't protecting myself, I was isolating myself. I was so afraid of being hurt that I stopped feeling altogether. And let me tell you, there's a cost to that because walls don't just keep out the pain, they keep out everything: love, connection, support. They keep you trapped in your own fear. Now, I didn't realize I was doing this for a long time. I actually thought I was setting boundaries. I thought I was just being smart, learning from my past, like the past betrayals, making sure I never got burned again. But here's the truth: a boundary keeps you safe, a wall just keeps you stuck. See, a wall is rigid. It says no one gets in, ever. It's built on fear, on the belief that if you close yourself off, you won't have to deal with the pain again. But what happens when you do that? You don't just keep out the bad, you keep out the good as well. A boundary, though, a boundary is built on self-respect. It's not about shutting people out. It's about deciding who and what you allow into your space. Boundaries aren't about control, they're about clarity, about knowing your worth and choosing relationships that honor it. See, I had to learn this the hard way. And if you're anything like me, if you spent years pushing people away, keeping everything at arm's length, you might not even realize how much it's costing you. So, how do you know if you've built walls instead of setting boundaries? How do you start tearing them down and creating something healthier? Well, let's get into it a little bit. So, the first thing is probably to just ask yourself, am I avoiding pain or am I creating peace? It's easy to justify our walls. We tell ourselves we're just choosing peace, but really we're running from discomfort. True peace, true peace doesn't come from avoidance. It comes from confidence in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. If you find yourself cutting people off completely instead of addressing issues, or withdrawing instead of communicating, you might be using walls as a defense mechanism. Then we can shift from keeping people out to letting the right people in. So walls are all or nothing. They operate in extremes, but boundaries require nuance. They require you to assess relationships honestly and decide who earned a place in your life. A good boundary sounds like, I won't tolerate disrespect, but I'm willing to have the tough conversations with people who are willing to grow. Or, I don't share my deepest struggles with just anyone, but I do allow myself to be seen by those I trust. And I choose relationships that are reciprocal, not one sided. It's not about cutting everyone off, it's about curating your environment so that it supports your growth. And then you should probably check your emotional patterns. If you're constantly cycling between extreme isolation and craving connection, it's a sign that your walls aren't working. They're not actually protecting you, they're suffocating you. I used to think I didn't need anyone, but the truth is, we all need connection. And the more I started embracing that, the more I realized that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a strength. So, what else can we do? We can start practicing healthy boundaries in low stake situations. So, if you're not used to setting boundaries, start small. The next time someone crosses a line, practice saying, hey, that doesn't work for me, or I'm not comfortable with that, or even I need some time before I can respond to this. And it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but boundaries get easier with practice. Trust me, it was so difficult for me being a people pleaser slash manipulator for most of my life. But it can be done. If I can do it, you can do it. And then the last thing I would say is trust yourself to handle discomfort. Walls come from a lack of trust in others, but more importantly, trust in ourselves. If you believe you can't handle conflict or rejection, you'll avoid it altogether. But when you start trusting yourself to navigate challenges without shutting down, you realize you don't need walls. You can have boundaries that protect your peace without locking yourself in a cage. Now, and I know this isn't easy. Breaking down walls takes time. It takes unlearning old survival mechanisms and learning to trust again. But the freedom that comes with it, that's worth everything. So trust in the process, and I promise that if you just practice it, it will get easier for you, and you're going to thank yourself for it later. Okay, everyone. As always, I love you, and until next time, peace.